what it is, y'all. Okay, first things first, we're going to get this out of the way. This is hands down bigger than Broly, bigger than the Goku trio. This is the biggest news that we have had in this entire celebration, and that is actual, honest to goodness, real pity. Okay? It says you can exchange 500 coins for a new featured character. Now, my understanding here is this is not just regular coins, but here's the big deal here, okay? During the event coin, Dokkan Fest coin Worldwide Celebration can be exchanged for Carnival coins and vice versa. Worldwide Celebration coins can be obtained from summons in Part 1. It can also be obtained in summons from Part 2 in exchange for characters and items. So here's the deal, guys. Let me clear the air. If my understanding is correct in this isn't the actual normal everyday coin that we get. This is specifically a coin just for this event. And the way they kind of described it in the live stream, if I'm understanding this correctly, because I think there's a lot of people that are thinking this is just a regular coin. I don't think this is the regular coin. This is a specific coin for the celebration that you can exchange for one of these units. Now, it is I think it's, what they say, 500 coins to get one of the units. So, you know, it's a real pity system. And what's really great about this, it's that one coin for all of the summons. It seems like every summon we get during this event is going to have that coin, and then you can exchange that for whichever unit you want. So it's not like the old system where even if you did like a whole bunch of summons, you could exchange the coin, but only for whatever's on that banner. This is going to be one banner with the Goku trio and with Broly, and you could just exchange whatever you get for all of those summons for that one thing. This is insane. Wild. Absolutely wild. Basically, that means that for me, when I go to a banner, usually if I get whatever I want, like immediately, that means I focus on the other banner. And a lot of times, that banner just doesn't favor you for whatever reason. Call it luck, call it what you will. That means that even after I do all the summons on that banner, that I could go in, exchange everything, and get what I want. And it seems like they said these banners are dropping tonight, so we'll see if that's actually the case. But this is crazy news. Like, this is the big thing. Now, we do have to talk about the new units, and I'm going to kick this off, and I'm going to go over here and talk about Goku. Now, I'm not going to cover the animations and all that, because, you know, you should have seen that on the stream. If you didn't, go down below. It'll just take too much time, and frankly risk other things. So, leader skill for Goku is all out struggle, Super Saiyans, or power of wishes. Key +3, all stats 170, extra 30% for movie heroes or connected hope category. Great. Makes a ton of sense for these units, right? So, let's go ahead and move on. And we have, oh no, there we are. So his essay, or their essay, I guess you should say, regular 12 key is raises attack for 1 turn, causes colossal damage to the enemy, and lowers attack and defense. That is an indefinite lowering of attack and defense. That's a permanent stack on lowering of attack and defense. Do not discount that. I think a lot of people are discounting what that means. Do not discount that. Essentially, instead of making himself better, he just makes your opponent weaker over time. And that could be a huge deal. His U Super greatly raises attack and defense for 3 turns. Notice that says greatly raises attack and defense for 3 turns. It only stacks for 3 turns, but after 3 turns, you kind of have it where you need it. In a lot of events, he's going to wipe everything out anyway in that amount of time, so it doesn't matter. Raises, here's the big thing. This is the one that blew my mind. Raises super class allies' attack and defense by 30% for 1 turn. Now, that is only 1 turn, but that is an extra 30% that you would normally only get from a passive skill. You are now getting from his U Super. So it really benefits you to get the U Super. And I know people are going to argue, it should be the passive, it should be this, it should be that. No, this is basically ensuring that you get that U Super, and because you really do want that anyway to raise his attack and defense. I think this is fantastic. I absolutely adore the build here. But let's go ahead and move on to his passive skill, or their passive skill, I guess you should say. That is a wall of text. Let's make sense of this, okay? Fierce Clash. Key +3, attack and defense, 200%. It's a great boost right there. Randomly changes key spheres of a certain type, physical excluded, to physical spheres. So they're just going to randomly change certain spheres to physical spheres. Plus additional key 2 per physical sphere obtained. Obviously, you're aiming for that. plus an additional key 1 per key sphere obtained, physical excluded. So if you can't get physical spheres, you're still in the good. We've seen a lot of units do this in the past. It's great for making sure you get that U super. All allies key plus 3 in attack 50%, self-excluded, but he doesn't need it, and reduces damage received temporarily by 30% when receiving a super attack. So if he gets SA'd, he gets a little bit more tanky. 30%, I'll be honest with you, is just kind of, it is what it is. But he does have guard, as we'll see in a moment, so we'll see. Actually, does he have guard? Thought he did. I don't see it here. I thought they mentioned guard. Maybe he doesn't. Anyway, 30% is kind of, I'll have to get a little further down here. Plus additional defense plus 30% when receiving an attack for every 3 keys. So that means that if you have a 12 key, you are now getting, let's say it's 30% for, times 4, 120. So if you have a full 24, that's a good boost. So essentially you could just multiply whatever your key is by 10. So 24 key, if you have a full, is going to be an additional defense plus 240%. That's wild. That's wild. So everything of these guys is about getting your key built up. If you are not maxing out your key, you're not using these units right. Plus additional attack 150% when key is 12 or more, which you should do anyway. It's going to be hard-pressed not to. Launches 2 additional attacks, each of which has a high chance of becoming a super attack when key is 18 or more, which it should always be. Attacks effective against all types when key is 24 or more. If there's another movie, heroes, or all-out struggle category ally attacking the same turn, plus an additional attack, a reduction of 15%, and for 2 turns, all allies defense plus 77%. That's crazy. They're game-changing. They really do make every other unit... Like, we always have that trope of, this team makes a team. No. They make every other unit on their team that much better. I know people were really hyped for BROLY, but I think this unit is so incredibly good. And we also know that they do have a little bit more in their build here. So let's go down here and see if we can get the information on their standby skill. It is a standby skill. Standby for 3 turns, during which count increases by 3 with each attack received. So you have to get hit in order for this to happen. This is not one of those you're building your charge based on the amount of key. You actually have to put him in danger. Increased by 2 per physical sphere obtained by allies, and increased by 1 by non-physical sphere obtained. So it actually does do... I spoke too soon. I literally didn't read the next line. So it does do spheres as well. So really, you're going to charge this like crazy. Standby condition can be activated when HP is 77% or less from the start of the 5th turn, only once. So, great skill. Great skill. I love this. Basically, this is just survival mode. It's fantastic. All right, so here it is. This is what they essentially get. Unable to attack except finishing effect is activated. So in other words, this is what they do during standby. Key plus 3 attack and defense, 259%, and guards all attacks. Changes in spheres to physical spheres, plus additional key 2 per physical sphere obtained, plus additional key 1 per non-physical sphere obtained, plus an additional defense 30% when receiving an attack for every 3 keys, and if key is 24 when receiving an attack, reduces damage received by 59%, plus an additional defense 20% per key sphere obtained, and all allies defense plus 7% for 2 turns per physical sphere obtained. So the more spheres he gets, the better he gets. Plus additional attack plus 100% when finishing effect is activated. So in other words, he won't use that attack and defense basically until you have everything charged up. I mean, we know how standby skills work at this point. So, and then when he hits, he'll hit like an absolute truck. Yeah, that is what it is. And if you see the animations are flawless. When those animations come out, I will cover those separately. I know we got them on the live stream, but we'll save that. We'll do that a little bit later. Apparently, these banners are going to be out tonight. So when we get timing and all that, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So that is Goku and Trunks. Now we need to talk about BROLY, because I think there's a lot of things people don't understand about how this unit is going to function. So first things first, leader skill. Movie bosses category key 3, all stats all stats 200%. So, typical carnival leader type stuff. He is BROLY. He's not Super Saiyan BROLY. He's not Legendary BROLY. He is BROLY. And they even mentioned in the live stream exactly what I told you guys. This is literally just so he can link up with other Brolys. He's going to have phenomenal link skills, which will link up with like the Broly we got during the anniversary and the other older Brolys. In fact, we do have Brolys that are easy, or at least one that we know of that is easy Aing during this event. So phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. All right, now here's the thing I think people are missing. This dude is unable to attack in his base form, which makes sense. He doesn't fight in his base form. Paragus is holding him back. Why would he attack? Doesn't make sense, right? Activates an entrance animation upon the character's entry, and for 1 turn for the character's entry, reduces damage received by 90% as the first attacker in a turn. So in other words, they're literally like, put him in the first slot, let him soak up damage, right? Reduces damage received by 70% in extreme class allies' chance of performing critical hit, 50% at the second or third attacker in a turn. So in other words, if you put him as the second attacker, he's not really an attacker, but you get the idea. He still is going to tank pretty well. Not nearly the same. Like, it's a 20% reduction, which can be substantial. Let's be fair. There is a big hop between 70% and 90%. Like, there's a big difference in damage. So, you know, like, you're losing a little bit, but everybody gets a 50% critical hit chance on top of whatever they already have, which actually could make that very good. So even though he's a slot 1 unit like this, he does have a purpose in slot 2, especially in those situations where there's no attacks happening in slot 1, which happens a lot. There's a lot of situations where you're like, it's a slot 1 unit, but I can't put him in slot 1 because there's no attacks happening. What the heck? He kind of solves that problem, and whoever you have in slot 1 is going to be that much more dangerous because of this. So I love this. This is a really thoughtful build. Extreme class allies key +2 in attack and defense 60%, defense plus 200%, and guards all attacks. That's where I read guard. I thought it was on the other unit. Thinking. So, nevertheless, dude is a monster. And he's literally just a wall standing tall, no pun intended, in this battle. Now, a lot of people are going, but he's not attacking. What's the point? Well, this is really thoughtful on their part, because essentially what you have is for like SBR and stuff like that, you have a dude you can throw on the front line, and it doesn't matter what he does. You can throw him in red zone, you can throw him against Cell Max, you can throw him in blue zone, whatever. Dude is just going to soak up damage and laugh at it. And then your other units can just do what they do. Now, when does he start attacking? Well, that's easy enough to answer. He has an active skill, and it can be basically initiated immediately. So, like, legitimately, when he first comes in, you could make a choice. Do I want him to be an attacker, or do I need him to soak up damage? And there's a lot of situations where people are going to make the choice and say, nah, in this turn, I need him to just be a tank. I need this guy to just literally be a damage sponge, and then they can do it like turn 2, turn 3, whatever. And I know it feels like it's a wasted move, but how many times have you walked into an ESBR and sat there and there's 5, 6 attacks on the front line, nobody else is taking anything, and that first dude just needs to stand there and get punched repeatedly? This dude can do that. However, you walk into that same ESBR, there's nothing in slot 1. Slot 2's got 2, 3 attacks tops, and they're all, you know, obviously slot 2 and slot 3, all those attacks come in after everyone does their SAs, so everyone's built up by that point. Then you can be like, cool, transform him, let him go wild. Now, what does he do when he transforms? Well, there's all the animations. Let's do his SAs first. Let's go back over here. So, 12 keys raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes colossal damage to the enemy. Whatever, you know. 1 turn stacking. We've seen a lot of that. U-Supers greatly raises attack and causes mega colossal damage to the enemy. Now, bear in mind, we've seen this before. That means that 18 key stacks every single turn. And while that is probably not the craziest thing ever, it is quite nice. So, he just gets better and better and better and better and better. Just every turn that he's attacking, he's just improving his attack. But if you need him to defend, don't transform him. I mean, you could not get a better unit for long-term events. You say, I need a damage sponge. I put him in the front. He just does his job, right? Dude stands there and just takes every hit like a champ. But when you're like, we build up everyone's defenses, we've knocked the enemy down, we've done whatever we need to do. Now transform. Be that turn 2, turn 3, turn 1, whatever. Your choice. Literally your call. Now, passive skill. We've stalled enough. Outburst of Instinct. Key +3 attack and defense 260%. 260% is a crazy number. Reduces damage stream by 50% for 3 turns from the character's entry. Plus addition, I think that's actually from his transformation. I don't think that's from the actual time he entered battle. Plus an additional damage reduction of 26%, which is a weird way to word that. Plus additional attack and defense 150% when performing an SA. Plus additional key 1 up to 5 and chance of performing critical at 10% up to 50% with each attack performed. So in other words, you want to give this guy additionals. This guy needs additionals. Launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack within the same turn after receiving an attack. Plus additional defense 200% before attacking, and launches an additional SA as the second or third attacker in a turn. So in other words, you really want this guy in slot 2. I wouldn't want to float him, but in slot 2, he is going to be a menace. An absolute menace. Plus additional key +3, chance of performing critical hit +50% when there's a Pure Saiyans or Earth-bred fighters category enemy. Disables enemy's attack action once when key is 24. So once again, you're always shooting for 24 key. However, it's not quite as easy as it is with the trio. Still, when you do that, it will disable the enemy's action, which is phenomenal. So, a crazy unit. An absolutely crazy unit. Who just gets better. Check this out. So if we go down here a little bit further, after he's transformed, he gets another active skill, which literally can be activated from the turn after he transforms, which gives him an extra key +3 and attack and defense 26%, which isn't wild, but considering how the mathematics work, that's everything applies, and then this applies. So everything you see, like all the numbers you see there, with an extra 26%, 26 instead of 25, whatever, 26% on top of it. So after you do it, on first glance, you're like, really? 26%? Is that going to change anything? Oh, yeah. This is going to change the world, guys. This is going to be nuts. If you know anything about how the mathematics work, essentially what's going to happen is it'll do all the arithmetic for all the attack damage out there and then go plus 26%. So take that final number, that final attack stat. Say let's say a 10 million attack stat, right? Plus 26%. I mean, you're already talking now a 12 million attack stat. And I'm sure his numbers are going to be way above that. So, dude is a menace. An absolute menace. We are getting some easy A's. This dude is easy A'ing. We don't have the details on it. We'll get all that here shortly. But that's everything we know about these units. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. I'll be back to cover the animations later. And we should note later on this afternoon when the events and all that are dropping. I'll cover those as well. Summons, I'm waiting to hear back from some people, see if we're actually going to do our usual worldwide collab or whatever. But yeah, we'll definitely be covering this later. So make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't. Catch you guys on the next one, and hit that little thumbs up button. Helps the channel out a lot.